How long have you been teaching Beauty and Joy of Computing?
So this is my first semester of BJC. For what it's worth, I've been teaching at Gunn for quite some time, in my 13th year. I've taught computer science for 20 years total, so this is my first time with BJC.
Okay. Have you taught BJC before this and even pieces of it, or this is the first time teaching it fully?
Yeah, I've tried to sneak it in. When I tried to sneak it in, it was for a class that we called animation using virtual worlds, and when I started putting that in the curriculum, they made me revise the whole class, or revamp the whole class is the official technical term to please the pencil pushers. But in any event, yeah, I mean, the topics that we're seeing here in BJC, I've addressed a fair number of them in the past.
Okay, okay. What's your overall feeling of the curriculum at BJC?
I absolutely love it. I think it's the best curriculum I've ever seen. What makes it interesting is one of the challenges we have in the high school level is there is no such thing as computer science leading up to the high school level. It's not like mathematics or English where we have a decent idea of where kids are going to be when they're freshmen. There's no such thing. A lot of kids will go and study computer science outside of school. Some kids won't have seen it at all. I have seniors who have never done any kind of programming. I've got freshmen who have done quite a bit. And so the neat thing about this is I can meet the kid, wherever the student happens to be, where they're at with this curriculum. If a student needs more challenges because they've done more stuff, great. If the student is just learning, I've got a story for that too. And everybody can get a certain baseline, so everybody's learning something important.
Awesome, that's great. What do you think the best part of the BJC is? Curriculum module, class transformation? What's the kind of the best thing that we have to offer?
So a couple of things. Number one, the fact that there is this curriculum where kids can move at a pace that works well for them as opposed to whatever I think should be declared the pace is a really big deal. I'm a lot less concerned with did the kid complete every single thing that's there than I am with, okay, given where you started and given what your life experiences were, how can I help you get as far as you can go? I feel like I can do that better with the BJC curriculum than anything I've seen so far. It would help if you had a book. But with that said, I know you guys are working on it. The other thing that I really like is it's such an intuitive language snap that you use with BJC that kids can sit down and with very little explanation get started and do some things that are really compelling. That's a real concern with programming languages, right? We have no notational issues like semicolons at ends of lines and so parentheses or anything like that. It's all drag and drop, so it's easy to get started. And the other thing that comes along with that is it's graphically compelling. Kids can make animations on day one that amuse them, they have questions, they're curious, they want to do more. These things are a big deal. They're not things that we see in other programming classes, or at least not necessarily parts of other programming classes. For example, AP Computer Science doesn't have that built in at all. There's nothing about graphics. And that's a strange thing if you think about it. What is going to be compelling to a young person? Visuals will be one thing. Mobile computing will be another, and I know you guys are working on that. That's not stuff that's necessarily taught in high schools, and it's not something we've taught in the past. And all of a sudden, we've got this wonderful graphics engine with all this compelling curriculum. It's fantastic.
Awesome, awesome. Do you have any particular stories of students being engaged by BJC material?
Yeah, it's not just BJC material per se, but as they learn stuff, they want to make stuff. So one student did an adventure game that's just otherworldly, and by the beginning of week 7. Extraordinary what he's done, all sorts of details, just amazing stuff. A hangman game seems like a straightforward thing. People play this all the time. Student who's a freshman, very quiet. She hadn't really shown me a whole lot when I come by and ask her how things are going, but she always seemed to be making progress. And one day she shows up and she's got this hangman game, and her ability to reason and compartmentalize things into blocks, into procedures, is absolutely brilliant. I mean, it's just amazing. And I'm looking at this thinking, wow, this is like done at the beginning of week 5. There is another student who actually had done some programming, so again, meeting the student where they're at, learned enough in the first 2 weeks of first couple of weeks of what we were doing with Snap and with BJC that he went and explored on his own and had an asteroids game almost completely working at the start of week 3 of a semester. And these are not entirely unusual stories. What we really need next, by the way, is a gallery. We need to have some way for much like the Scratch community comes together and posts their stuff and can see each other's stuff, we can do the same thing for the BJC community. When we get there, I think it's going to be even better, because then kids can take a look at what everybody else around the world is doing and add their own ideas to it. It should be fantastic. I think the fact that kids can express themselves as well as they do right now, I mean, I'm like halfway through the semester. It's just extraordinary.
Awesome. Is it a year-long class or a semester-long class?
This is a semester-long class, and it's possible that's going to change. We have a new principal. I've got no idea where this is going, but when I tell her things like, I'm seeing things in this class that I don't even see in the AP class, she wants to know why it is, that we're teaching AP and not doing more of this, which is actually a very good question. I don't know where things are going to go. It may be that we turn this into a year-long class. We may turn it into a part of a year-long class where we do one thing I'd like to see us do is a programming paradigms class, where we talk about a variety of different problems and what languages we want to bring to bear on those problems, learn a little something about those. There's a lot of possibilities, and the nice thing about it is I can pick and choose out of the BJC curriculum to help get us there.
That's great. Last question. Do you have any closing thoughts that you haven't been asked yet about BJC? Any things you want to say, anything that I haven't asked you that you want to be able to share with other teachers, maybe? Message to other teachers.
So this is a really great thing, that we get to go and teach a class where people come in, they can feel good about life and play with toys. See, I don't know how things work in other classes. I don't know how an English class works, or a math class works, or a social studies class works. But I'm guessing that they don't just come in and hands-on play with toys every day. That's what we get with computing. The notion that it should, for some reason, if you take a look at learning results, nobody ever talks about fun. That ought to be the first learning result. I don't care what the class is that someone's teaching. The very first thing you ought to be asking is this a fun thing to do? The great thing is I got lots of fun things to do, and we play with toys. And so it's very interesting. We've seen a lot of growth over the past few years in computer science at my school, and I think we're going to see even more because the word's kind of gotten out. It'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. But the whole idea that we've got this programming environment with a really great curriculum where people come in and it's play, not work, where they can do stuff at their own pace without feeling, like they're, even if people around them are doing other amazing things, they can feel good about it. I should note also that the grading system I've got set up basically takes that off the table so they can just explore and have fun. Don't know how many of you out there will be comfortable with that, but it's something to think about. But the idea that you can come in and play with toys in an environment where you can learn a lot is a big, big deal. And I wish there was some way of making more high school education look like that.
Awesome. I think that's it. Thank you so much for your time, Josh.
Thank you.